Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check today's video out. And got a juicy information-packed video for y'all today because we're going to be talking about floating worm colors. We've been doing some videos on how to rig floating worms last couple weeks, but I want to go specifically into colors because I've got about a half a dozen colors that I use most all the time. And each one of those colors has a conditional window that works in the best, and it makes all the difference in the world. Floating worm is a sight lure. You know, it's a very visual lure in the water, and you got to have the right situations and the right water conditions and light intensities in order to maximize that technique. So we're going to give you guys some tips and advice on that today. Also, guys, before we get started, a couple quick housekeeping tips. Just like to invite everybody to please swing by. Check out my Fish in the Moment lake map breakdowns that I build for Fish in the Moment. These are maps that have taken me like 5 years to build all across the country. Great resources to learn more about your favorite lake and get some good fishing spots you can put right on your GPS unit. So I'll put that link in the description. And also, guys, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by just going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat, Professional Angler. Shoot me a private message and I'll get you set up with that. Really appreciate it. Okay. Guys, floating worms, man, if you've never fished them before, it is without a doubt the top 3 favorite ways for me to catch a bass as far as getting the strike and seeing the fish hit it. I don't think there's anything more exciting than watching a bass come up and bite a floating worm. I think it's even more exciting than seeing him hammer a topwater lure, because the way that I fish a floating worm, it's not floating on the surface. I fish it just subsurface, barely under the water where you can see it. And most of the time, if you're paying attention and it's not windy and the water's not too dirty, you can see the fish swim up real slow and get it. I mean, it's just a super, super fun bite. Let me tell you one real quick story before we get into the color video. There's 2 megabucks tournaments that I almost won on Lake Murray on a floating worm. I was leading the final day going into megabucks on a floating worm, and I lost 2 6-pounders, should have blew the tournament away. And then there was another Bassmaster Top 100 that I almost won on a floating worm. But one of the most memorable floating worm strikes that I got was this one here. I'm going to tell you, Lake Murray. It was the last day of the tournament. I had 4 fish in the boat, and I figured if I got my limit, 1 more fish, and if I got like a 2-pounder, I'd probably win the tournament. So anyway, Lake Murray back then, it was crystal clear. You could see like 6 or 7 foot down, and I'm going in the back of this cove. And I make a long cast with that floating worm towards the back of that cove, and I'm working it about 2 foot under the water. And I could see it perfect. It was glass calm. It was like throwing it into a swimming pool. So anyway, I'm working this floating worm. All of a sudden, guys, this toad comes up, like a 5 or 6-pounder, and it slowly swims up, and I can see it coming up like that. It opens its huge mouth. It's like in slow motion, it grabs that floating worm and starts swimming back down with it. And I go, oh my God. So I let it swim a little bit and I set the hook on it, got it, and I'm fighting it. And all of a sudden it swims as fast as it can back to the boat, and it goes way behind the boat. It goes like 50, 75 feet behind the boat and jumps like 5 feet in the air. I got the thing on and everything, fought it by the boat. It comes up the other way, is going all over the boat everywhere. So anyway, I'm fighting this fish and fighting it, and I've got it about probably 5 feet away from the boat, and I can see it fighting underwater, and I'm holding it, and I'm just about ready where I'm getting down to reach it. It opens its mouth, and the floating worm comes out of its mouth, and I didn't catch another one the rest of the day. But anyway, even though that was a difficult moment to take, that strike will stay in my mind forever. Okay, now let's get into the different ones. Now, when you're talking about selecting a floating worm color, it's all about, I talk about this a lot on the channel, your combination of your water clarity and your light intensity. That's everything about it. And I want to go over each one of these colors and sort of give you my gist on with it. So let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about some type of banana color, a banana like a Chartreuse or yellow like this. And by the way, guys, these are all Zoom trick worms I'm showing you here. I think that's the best floating worm to use. I'll put the trick worm link and my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to pick up some of these colors. But the yellow or the chartreuse, guys, this is my dirty water, low light condition. It's like when you're talking about gradients and visibility as far as light intensity and watercolor, this is what you want to use on the lowest light conditions. So if I'm fishing a situation where the water visibility is, say, less than 2 foot, and I don't like to fish a float. Floating worms don't work hardly at all if the water visibility is less than a foot. So if you've got like a 1 to 2 foot of visibility, sometimes even clear, maybe up to 3 foot, depending upon the light intensity, and you have a low light day. It's shady, like you get out there in the morning and it's dark, your water visibility is like that, or it's rainy and cloudy. Guys, this is the color that you want to use right here. This is a really, really bright color. It works really good. And again, sometimes if you have like 3 foot of visibility, you can still catch them on this on like a rainy day. So you need some chartreuse and yellows for a low light day. Okay, the next one, which is similar to that, is the white, a white or pearl. Now this is similar. These are two of the most brightest colors you have right here. A white is good. Now this is close to it. A white is good in the same water visibility, like a 1 to 2 foot of visibility, but I like a white if the light intensity is brighter. Let's say we get out there, I've got a 1.5 foot of visibility, and you got a clear or partly cloudy sky. That's when your white's gonna be good. White is a little bit more subtle than that chartreuse. Still a good, stands out, it glows in that dirty water, but you need a little bit more light intensity with it. Okay, the next one, which is another bright one, is the bubble gum. Now guys, believe it or not, bubble gum is a really good clear water color. It's a bright color, but at the same time, when it's in the water, it's a little bit subtle. So this may not be my super, super clear water color, but I like the bubblegum color if that water visibility is, say, like 3 to 4 foot in that particular zone. And again, with the bubblegum, I like some type of a lower light condition, something, some type of maybe 75% overcast up to like a light rain. But the bubblegum is going to allow you to transition a little bit more into a little bit cleaner water effectiveness than the white or the chartreuse. That's really good there. Okay, the next one, guys, is my favorite, which I've caught more bass on than anything out there, and that's the old Methylate. Guys, it's just like an orange Methylate worm. Out of all the thousands and thousands of bass that I've caught on floating worms, and the 8 or 9 different colors that I use, I bet probably 60% of the bass I've ever caught on float worm has been on the Methylate. This is a must-have color, so you definitely need to get it. Methylate is a good clear water color. It doesn't look like it because it's sort of bright, but it's sort of like, if you hold it up in the light, it's almost like translucent looking. It looks orange right now, but you hold it up in the light and it looks like a light pink. But anytime that you have clear water color, Methylate's the one you want to throw. Any water visibility over about 3.5 or 4 feet. And a Methylate, the good thing about it is once you have the clear water, it works in any sky condition. It can be sunny, cloudy, rainy, it doesn't matter. Normally what happens in this, if you're fishing water visibility closer to 3 feet, I like the sunny day. But if the water visibility is extremely clear, like 6, 7, 8 foot clarity, then I like some type of a cloudy day. But guys, Methylate is a fish catching color. Okay, now the last 3 I'm going to talk about are very situational, that just different type of deals. Another favorite one I've got, guys, is either like a watermelon or a green pumpkin. Now the watermelon and green pumpkin is another clear water color. This does not work at all hardly unless you got about 4 foot of clarity. Watermelon is going to be really good on the real clear conditions and on the real bright conditions. Your bright sunlight conditions, clear water, and heavy fishing pressure. Now one of the things we'll talk about here in a second is that bass get conditioned to these bright colors super quick in the springtime of the year. So the watermelon or the green pumpkin is the color I go to late in the season. What I'm saying about this is that the 2 months I fish a floating worm almost all the time are April and May. April and May are the 2 best floating worm months. And you'll notice that early in April, the fish are a little bit more aggressive on the brighter colors. Like say, if you throw the first part of April, they'll bite this. By May, they won't bite this, but they will bite a more subdued color like the green pumpkin or watermelon. So definitely have some of this for super clear water, heavy fishing conditions. Okay, the next one, guys, is this is the more of a natural shell color like this. God, I can't even remember the name on this thing. What the heck of it? I'm going to show you here. You can look in the color chart here. Guys, this one right here, it's a blue, it's either natural blue or shell or something. But guys, this is really good in tidal water. If you guys fish tidal waters anywhere in the country, like, you know, the James River, Potomac River, any type of tidal river, try this natural shell looking blue, pro blue looking. There's something about it, they really like it. And finally, guys, one of the last ones, one of my favorite is the baby bass. The baby bass is a great color. It's sort of like very similar to the green pumpkin and the watermelon in the terms that I like the baby bass later in the year in real clear water. This is probably the most natural looking color. Out of all these colors that come through the water, when you're working that floating worm, the baby bass looks to me the most natural. It looks to me the most edible if I was a bass. So I've done pretty good on this, again, in heavier fishing pressure, clear water situations. And also, since it's sort of translucent, it works good in those brighter conditions on the sunny days. But anyway, guys, that's my sort of system. That's sort of the general, you know, guidelines that I use for selecting colors. And one of the things about it, you always hear me talking a lot at bass fishing about, you know, the bass they do what they want to do. And, you know, sometimes they want stuff that you don't think is going to work. This is one of the opposite things. It's like, this holds true almost all the time. The colors I just talked about in relationship to the conditions, the water clarities and the sunlight conditions, it almost always holds true. So what I just told you, 9 times out of 10 is going to be right. And other times, if I tell you crankbait color, there could be 20 different crankbait colors that could work in the same condition, but for floating worms, not so much. So anyway, guys, get you some. Like I said, I'll put them all in the Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. Now's the time to throw them. The time of this video is starting the second week of April for the next month. These things are going to be killer. Get you some there. You can refer back to some of my other videos on how to rig them, and we'll talk later.